Well, it's Thursday. We're just a couple of days away from the weekend. And once again, we are talking Oaks. I'm joined again with Declan O'Donoghue, the sporting press's man on the inside at Shelbourne Park. And Declan, it really is the place to be at the moment because this Oaks has turned into quite the competition, a real cracker. 24 top quality bitches went to battle last Saturday night. We're left with 12. And, we're still at a point where we don't know the Oaks winner, although we can have a good old guess. There's 3 or 4 there with serious claims.
Yeah, I think there were a few shock exits last weekend, that's for sure. But most of the big guns got through. Still 1 or 2 improving in behind them, but 2 intriguing semi-finals, and it's not about qualifying this week. Being into 1, 2, 3, that is really all that matters this week, and it's tough enough sorting them out, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's cliched, but any of the 12 connections will take third spot. They take your hand
sure,
off.
Sure, yeah. Just get into that final for sure. Yeah.
I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll look back at the quarterfinals. That'll give us a good overall picture. Then we'll take a look at the semis and we'll give our opinions on the competition as a whole. The opening heat last Saturday night, we knew Drewby's Curio faced a very tricky draw. In hindsight, we probably should have been opposing her given the draw, but she ran well. But she was sort of lucky to qualify at the same time. Does that make sense? Scooby Princess was just behind her. Scooby Princess went crashing out, one of the big names to miss it and to go out. But Prices Verona, what a star she has been for Paul Hennessy, for Brian and Kathleen Murphy, flashed from trap 1. And once she did, there was never much chance of her getting picked up. And Right So Bell, you had highlighted her once or twice in the earlier rounds. She ran a big race in second spot, but this was about Prices Verona. Very impressive.
It was. And she brings huge experience to it. She loves Shelbourne. She was well drawn on the inside. Wouldn't need it as much as some of the others, but it suited her when she was there. She just got the corner. Drewby's Curio did well, tracked well, has a lot of track sense. Drewby's Curio can miss the break. That's always an issue. We saw in Waterford. In the end, it caught up with her. But yeah, it was good. Tough on Scooby Princess. Something had to go out. She was just left with too much to do, and she was flying home. The old story, another stride perhaps, but she didn't make it. No argument to win her. Prices Verona was top class, and she's got to be one of the ones to beat outright now. You know what I mean? With all her experience, all her expertise, her good tracking, not too dependent on the draw. Likes the inside when she can get in there, but he doesn't have to be drawn there, And
I suppose when she's drawn close to the fence, she doesn't have to worry about, she doesn't have to worry about something getting up her inside. I think that's the key, because if she does have one sort of weak spot, it probably is the 50 yards into the corner.
That's right. And she handled it pretty well last week. Right So Bell went up very well too. She's perfectly drawn again. She's the only white seed left. So they're probably starting to get a little bit optimistic. She's 27 races as well, so there's not much she has to learn about the game. And she actually, her performance in that heat can be easily forgotten because Drewby's Curio did so well to qualify.
Your eye is automatically drawn to the first, and then we were looking at the battle for third, and you sort of seem to forget about Right So Bell. She ran a big race. To actually contain Drewby's Curio to the third bend was an achievement in itself.
It was, yeah. And then Scooby Princess going out was unfortunate. It was just something had to give in the end, because once Prices was up there, she was going to qualify. No doubt about that. Then there are 2 places left. Right So Bell was running perfectly from a perfect draw. So then there's 1 place left. And, Drewby's Curio, that little bit sharper over that kind of trip, and that made a difference.
We'll move on to the next heat. Up to this point in the Oaks, it's all been about Ballymac Beanie as far as the Ballymacs were concerned. But then Liam Dowling popped up with a couple himself on Saturday night. Ballymac Art. We've seen it so many times over the years in the Oaks that a young bitch coming into it finds her feet, and all of a sudden, goes crash bang wallop in the last 2 or 3 rounds and produces some serious runs. And Ballymac Art was fastest of the night, 28-21. The way she quickened up into that opening corner, Declan, it really was so eye-catching. This lady is improving at a rate of knots, and she's clearly one with a big, big chance in this Oaks, and she's very well housed in the semi-finals. It'd be a surprise if she wasn't in the decider itself.
I agree with everything you say, bar one thing. I don't think she's well housed in the semi-finals, to be honest with you at all. She's popped out of trap 5 beautifully the last couple of weeks. I think middle to wide seed seems to suit her. Now, she's ran twice from trap 1 in Shelbourne and got beaten both times. She's ran from trap 2 and got beaten. Now, she wasn't then very experienced. She was racing against dogs. There were tough races for sure. But each time something happened at the second bend, she led at the first bend one night. So she's not a classic inside runner. She certainly isn't that. Now if she breaks well, then absolutely, yeah. But
she need only trap on turns, because she certainly has the early speed of her 5 rivals. That
she has, and she's probably in the slightly easier of the semi-finals on paper anyway. It's the slightly easier of the two, I would think, certainly for qualifying. But it's just everyone is saying all week that she's perfectly drawn. I haven't seen evidence of that at all so far. She could be. But on what we've seen so far, I couldn't say that, to be honest.
In terms of qualifying, it's just the one draw where the fate is in her own hands, is what I'm saying. That if she does come away on terms, nothing's going to be on her inside. She only has to just get racing.
You just have a slight worry when it didn't suit her before when she was there. That just is at the back of your mind. And she's running so well from where she was in Trap 5. You know what I mean? I'm sure if Liam had a choice, he wouldn't mind being in 5 again, But if he'd had the option, you certainly would have taken it. You'd have stuck a middle on her. Oh, at this stage, yeah. But that's we're always right at the first and second round.
Yeah, of course.
That's to be seated where we saw that in the Derby as well. You know what I mean? We saw a classic case of that in the Derby. And she's only raced a few times, so she's learning the game. Now she could be much better on the inside this time. Absolutely. Like it is only her 9th race in. So
her 10th race.
Yeah, she's learning all the time. She's improving all the time. And it could be that she's well drawn there. But what I can't agree with the assertion everyone's making that she is well drawn there. What we've seen so far, I can't really say that. But she I would think we come to semi-finals later, I think. But she was very good last week, absolutely. She went up well. Roanna Best broke a lot better this week, and that is a big. I think she was back to herself. And Roanna Best, if she does break as well again, then she is in the mix in the second semi-final too. And I thought in the same heat, Billy Steva ran on superbly. And it's funny, you look back in the race, in our mind's eye already, Ballymarcart won that easily. There was a half a length in it at the line.
It was a half length, but it was one of those half lengths where you go, it was actually never in danger. Do you know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah, it was. I agree with you. I know exactly what you're saying. And she could have pulled out something extra if she had to. You know what I mean? She probably wasn't aware that the other one was coming so fast.
Yeah.
But Billy Steva is also, she's even more inexperienced. She's very nice.
She really is a massively fast lady.
Yeah, she is very good. She's good, yeah. For
she,
sure.
of course, has the 3rd fastest debut in Ireland, 28:09 on August 11th. It was a sensational run on the night. She's clearly one with a big future. It's probably a bit further. It's probably a bit further that she will star. Roanna Best, as you said.
And listen, I understand people with worried about when you do a very fast clock that you're straight away in at the deep end, and I understand that, and that's been discussed at the moment, and we can go into all that here. But she proved that it can be done. Now, she's won the exception once. So it shows how good she is, that she's gone straight into the Oaks. You know what I mean? And she's not struggling at all.
The fact that she is in bitch company, though, certainly does help.
Yeah, of course it helps, yeah. Of course it does. Yeah.
The Roanna Best, we touched on Roanna Best there. She broke well the other night. She didn't have an answer to Ballymarcart in the opening yards, but given the race the next night, she lost a little bit of ground on the corner last Saturday night. If she was to turn a close second to Ballymarcart, she's a major player, no question.
She could just lead Ballymarcart next Saturday.
I think.
It could happen.
Big call now. Big call.
Well, you see, Roanna Best has done, I think it's 2023 and 2003, or sorry, 233 one week and then 203 the next.
Yeah.
So it's a bit hit and miss with her. But if she broke like she broke last Saturday, now Ballymark could well make the corner before her. She has the pace to do. We saw that last week. She has superior early pace. I agree with you. But it is just possible Roanna Best could actually lead her out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's say if Ballymarcart misses by a length in the inside, does a 2:10, and Roanna gets a 2:03, all of a sudden it's race on into that opening turn. We'll move on to the next heat, Ballymac Juliet. I dare say you were as surprised as I was to see her leading off the second bend. You could probably hear it in my commentary, but this was all about Trap 3 Old Love Tune diving straight left at boxes. Sleeve League is the one that was desperately unlucky because she was showing half a length in front at that point, got clipped, and it was just so tight up the inside, nothing could get racing. And in contrast, Ballymac Juliet had the freedom of Shelbourne Park up the middle, took full control of it, went to the front. Swanley Chick turned second, but in fairness, Ballymac Juliet, we know she's very strong. It was no surprise to see her going on to win by 3 lengths in 28:41. She's never going to get a run like that again. you would imagine. But at the same time, she does have a good engine.
She has, and she's raced over 750, and there's not too many of these who've done anything like that yet. So she'd be coming home in every heat. I think it's interesting. Slieve League, which I'm told is a mountain in Donegal, there you learn something new every day. A beautiful place, I'm told. Slieve League, actually, I thought just popped out in front, slightly in front from two.
She did.
Both times would have broke well, and went up well. Old Love Tune was trying to move in. The three of them got each other's way. Quite simple. That is what happened. You know what I mean? Ballymac Juliet, but he had to have some. She had to have some basic up to bend all the same with them.
She did.
You know, she had to produce something.
She's a sister. She's a sister, of course, to Ballymac Wild, who was the Derby finalist. You know, so she's probably similar enough in a sense where when she hits it, she can get into that corner.
Absolutely, yeah, and she had Swanee Chick on her right, and to lead her into the corner is, you know, it's fair shooting. So, like, I agree with you. It's unlikely that she'd get that run again, and you know, it's about qualifying for her definitely. But it was a very, very good performance. Again, she's a bit inexperienced. She's going to keep improving, and she's very versatile. But yes, it was unlucky on Old Love Tune, who's been running brilliantly, had done everything right until then. And just the two on her inside, they all just had a heave-ho on the way to the bend, and there you go. She's gone.
Yeah, it was a case of if you had swapped 1, 2, and 3 around and had them 3, 2, 1 or 1, 2, 3, it would have been a very different race with Old Love Tune likely to go up fast in the inside, Slieve League probably getting clear enough run. And, you know, Beaushine Bullet, as it was, did qualify in third spot. We'll get to her in a moment. Swanley Chick, Declan, she's been on the go for quite a while. It wasn't her best run in the Oaks, but at the same time, she's still there. She's still qualifying. And we know she certainly has the pace and power to play a part.
She does. You're just wondering, is her busy campaign just
catching up with her?
You're just starting, you know, that what you would have to say there. But again, Ballymac Juliet, she won. She did everything right. She got to the bend in front, and away she went. You know what I mean? And there's nothing going to catch her. You know what I mean? So in that sense, seeing that she is a stair and she won from last last week, you could say Swanee Chick actually ran well enough to be within 3 lengths of her at the line. You know what I mean? There's a couple of ways you could look at that, but I don't think Swanee is well drawn this week either.
No, certainly not.
She might struggle a bit, yeah.
Yeah, and in the tougher heat, of course. So too is Beaushine Bullet, who qualified in third. I just can't wait to see this lady over a bit further. She really is crying out for. She's staying on like a train every night. She's one for the future. I
wonder on that point, I meant asking you what you think of this. Is there a case down the line for the Oaks being over 550? Is there, when you look at half runners in this, a lot of them, Scooby Princess will be sitting in it. Sure, not saying we should make it to suit dogs, but I'm just wondering, is there a case for it with everything else?
I think there's a case for another competition or two over 550, but I'm a traditionalist. I like to see the Oaks over 525, and like when it comes down to it, the winner will most likely be the one that gets around that corner in front in the final night. And you know, there's still something, you know. It's still great to see sharp greyhounds having events. You know, if you take the 525 off the bitches, where do they go then? You know, the 525 bitches, do they, you know, challenge for the likes of Laurels?
I'm just speculating on it.
There used to be that great competition down in Galway, the 550 bitch competition down in Galway. That was a great stake, and I remember Handy Princess and the likes of them were winning it 1 or 2 years. You know, it was suited real strong running ladies. But I suppose the Oaks, when you look at it over the years, there have been plenty of big finishers, but also it's really about the early speed. And I think it's a great combination of both. And I just think the 525 is right for the ladies.
Yeah, on balance, I would agree with you, but it is a discussion worth having, you know, because a lot of these certainly will be more suited by 550. Some of the really good ones who've gone out will be more suited by 550. It's just something to think about.
It's interesting to see that the Winter Racing Festival will have one of the feature races will be a bitch 550 as well as a bitch 525, and there, as you say, there's definitely room for it.
That's very fair. Yeah. Or perhaps we could have a separate competition. You know
yeah. I mean? No, I think there's definitely there's a gap in the calendar for something like that. Moving on, the final heat of the round, and this was a strange enough affair. I'd like to get your take on it, Declan. Obviously, Ballymac Beanie hit the front early. She challenged into the opening corner, went on about her business, and she stormed clear up the home straight. And you know, she wins 6.5 and 28.25. Very impressive, but was this a case of something or more than one of them charging traps? Because a couple of the real natural starters, Grangeview West and Fabulous Bell, walked from boxes. Ballymac Beanie may have gone on her second go because she only did a 2:14. And it just strikes me as one of those, it was almost like a false start.
It was a strange one. Ballymac Beanie did everything right. You know what I mean? And we can't take away from her. She got it right. I didn't see charging of traps. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I didn't get that impression.
I too couldn't see it.
No,
I just couldn't see the reasoning for the two absolute natural starters to completely miss it. And it was such a staggered start that, you know, sometimes something happens, something's clicking or something, you know, they just make that noise.
But we see with the best of them that they can miss it. And just two of them on the one night, one of those strange things. Maybe Ballymac Beanie's name is on this cup. You wouldn't know, because her two main rivals here, she flew out and they stayed in the boxes basically, and they were gone, and there was no way back for them. They were gone, and they had two. I thought Grangeview West and Fabulous Bell were two of the strong contenders for outright glory.
Absolutely, yeah. But if as we were just discussing, you know, whatever leads around the corner in the final is going to take some stopping, and those were two leading contenders to be, you know, in front on that opening bend in the final if they'd gone that far.
Absolutely, and Fabulous Bell was a wide seater. She was going to keep being well drawn had she gone through. You know what I mean? She had a lot going for. Grangeview West was fresh and proven and top class. So that was a big upset there. But again, you can't take away from the winner. The winner, they got it wrong, she got it right, and she won the race. You know, and as you say, 6.5 lengths, that follows her a bit, I suppose. But yeah, she's nothing wrong so far.
She's a very talented lady. I really like her. And certainly if you take away, like, let's say she does a 202 or a 203, which she doesn't quite have on her card yet, but she's more than capable of doing so. You know, could have easily been a 28 sort of 28.15 run rather than 28.21. The track perhaps not quite as fast the other night as it has been, although there were some good runs on the night. Ballymac Wisdom, a third runner for Liam Dowling into the semi-finals of the Sporting Press Irish Oaks. There are 4 Ballymacs, of course, being Ballymac Beanie being the one that escaped Liam's clutches at an early stage. I'd say he's kicking himself there. But Ballymac Wisdom, she's unlikely to win the Oaks. Yeah, but she could storm home and certainly grab a qualifying place in a heat where it could get a bit of touch messy. And Nemesis is really running well for Cathal McGee. She's a nice type. She's probably not good enough to win an Oaks, but again, she's in the easier of the two heats perhaps, although there's nothing easy about either heat, and you never know.
You know, it's a nice story, Nemesis, especially with what happened at Lifford, that they have a dog competing at this level to keep the interest going up there. It's a nice story, and she's running very well. She is running very well. Ballymac Wisdom, yeah, for sure. And she could have won the previous week. You know, she nearly made the corner on the inside. And so she is steady, she's strong, she's running well, and she's a chance of qualifying again for sure. But Ballymac Beanie, you can't take away from her. But as you say, there's two things here. First of all, her two main rivals didn't show at all. And the other thing is, if I can use that lovely Irish word, disimproved, her section at times are disimproving slightly, only slightly, and they're still formidable, but they're going back just a little bit. You know what I mean? And they wouldn't want to go back much more.
I'm putting the 214 down to what we just discussed as regards. I'd say every one of them sort of anticipated the start. I think she got it on her second go rather than her first go. Yeah, which is something her half brother did at one point in the early rounds of the Derby. Pastana, they all charged and he went again and came out running. I'd say that's the way it's going to be with that pedigree. They just seem to be natural starters and very reactionary rather than guessers.
But we saw in the Derby, charging tramps was happening a lot. You know, you could see it, you could feel it, you know. But last Saturday, I didn't see it. Watched it again and again since. I still haven't seen any evidence of that. It could just be the other two miss it on the night. It happens.
Yeah, it sure does. It's a cracking Oaks. We're going to look at the two semi-finals, Declan. The first of the semi-finals, obviously we've referenced the two of them thus far, but your eye is immediately drawn to the fact that Droopy's Curio is in trap 1. You know, there's no question it's her box. It's just a whether case of can she be more fluent at traps? Because she's going to need to be, because there's no gimmies from here on in. She's facing a very talented field. Bowshine Bullet and 2 will be absolutely powering home. And she's not a bad starter. She can trap. 3 Prices Verona. We saw her the other night. 206, led every yard. 28-26. Like, their form is there in the book. Ballymacbeanie unbeaten in the competition. She just seems to be a real professional, a proper lady. Ballymacwisdom, very strong, should be flying home. And Swanley Chick on the outside, who we've touched on so many times in the last 2 or 3 weeks. She's been running so well. She is such a big engine. I'd forgive her for last week's run. I'm sure she'll improve for it. It's a cracking heat, Declan. Obviously, Droopy's Curio, if there were bookmakers on track, would make her quite a warm favourite. Although this isn't a heat where you could go gung-ho with any of them. It's really, really open.
Well, funny you mentioned that, and of course, hopefully soon we will have Ted Hegarty and Ray Mulvaney and all the lads back along the front line. But I was thinking, I saw Droopy's Curio 7-4 to win this outright. Well, I would have thought she'd be 7-4 to win Saturday's race, 7-4 favourite. That would be how I would see it, and how she came down in the betting after last week is beyond me, quite frankly.
I'd say it was purely a case of they saw her in trap one. Asher, we have to make her warm favourite, and then they're just looking at percentages and stuck her in at a short price.
Oh yeah, and of course she is around closer. She qualified, so she is for sure. Anyway, she is well drawn, as you say. Whether she breaks or not, that's another story, but she come out with them. That's all she needs to do. She will power up the rail. So if Price's Verona is cutting in, which is quite possible, there will be some kind of clash there. As you say, Beaushine Bullet is breaking better than people give her credit, but
she just lacks it into the corner a bit.
She could be squeezed a bit there. Ballymacbeanie will have to be on her toes. I know she's been outstanding throughout this. I seem to be ready for nothing else in the Oaks, only Ballymacbeanie. But all that being said, she will have to do everything right next Saturday. That's a tough enough draw for her.
But going back to your point earlier on about Ballymacgart, Ballymacbeanie, her most eye-catching run into the opening corner did come from trap 4 in that opening round. She did a 2:05 that night, but she showed real good early speed up the middle of the track. The last 2 nights, she's only disputed the lead into the bend. That night, she got loose. I just wonder, will she be one that'll favour a middle draw? And as you say, if Price's Verona does edge in a little bit, she'll have a bit of room to race.
Oh yeah, I think Ballymacbeanie is not well drawn in the sense that there's 2 or 3 hot things inside her. But trap 4 won't worry her at all. She, as you say, she could. I don't think she won't come away from 4. But it's just the way it's drawn. There's going to be strong pace on her inner, so she need to get up to the corner fast. Trap 4 could even help her in doing that, but get up fast and get around. If she does that, she wins, I would think. But if she doesn't do that, then she could be hard pressed to qualify. It is that close. It is that hot a heat. You know what I mean? So,
after the first 2 rounds, it was the clash we were looking forward to, Droopy's Curio and Ballymacbeanie. I wish it had waited another week. I'd have loved to see them clash for the first time in the final. We're going to get a preview. Listen, there's no guarantee that the preview is going to, if the 2 of them qualified, the preview is going to go exactly the same way in the final.
Yeah.
But, it's a tremendous clash. It's one you really want to look forward to.
Well, you would say Ballymacbeanie 2:14 this time mightn't be quite good enough to make the corner in front anyway. You know what I mean? It probably won't be good enough. You know what I mean? So look, if she runs the race she's been running, she'll probably win. You know what I mean? So that's fine. But there is strong pace on her inside, and Price's Verona could do anything. She could lead. If Price's Verona is in the front 3, she will stay there. So we're down to 2 qualifying spots. One way or another, you would think Droopy's Curio is going to grab one of those. Now that there's only 1 spot left. So you're looking at Ballymacbeanie. You're looking at Beaushine Bullet, who'll be coming home fast. Ballymacwisdom, who'll be in the mix somewhere. And, of course, Swanley Chick, who is a class act. So there's not much margin for error here next Saturday. I would worry a bit for Swanley Chick at this stage. Having loved her all the way through, I now think that, that great run in Dundalk, then she went to the English Derby, where she went quite a few rounds in the English Derby, came straight back from the Derby, straight into the Oaks, and has been running well. And I just wonder last week, was she just going a step backwards? Was it just catching up with her? You know what I mean? Because she will have to work from there. She will seriously have to work from there, because it's hard to see how there won't be some crowding at the band.
Yeah, now, I'm going to call it now, Declan. I think Ballymacbeanie will be in front into the corner. I think she'll get around. I think the one that potentially in danger if she doesn't hit it is Curio, because as you said, for the very same reasons, the likes of Price of Verona, Ballymac Wisdom, Swanley Chick, none of them would be knocked out of the first three if they entered the back straight in the first three. And if Curio does happen to miss the kick, she's going to need to get racing into that corner fairly sharpish, because if she's not in the first three off the second bench, she's going to struggle to qualify. But I do think Ballymac Beanie will be in front. But it's just one of those heats where you could run it 5 or 6 times, and I'm not saying you get 5 or 6 different results, but the odds are the winners would come from 1 or 4, but it'd be very much dependent on which of them hits the lids.
But I would say Ballymac needs it more than the Curio. Juby's Curio is on the fence, will find a way through, will be flying from halfway anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we suggested last week she ran that opening corner last week, not the week just gone, the previous week. She ran that first bend like a dog, and you know that if she's up the inside, she's not going to battle at that first corner.
Yeah, she is, but I would say Price's Verona is just as tough. So that'd be
that's fair enough.
We both exchange at the first corner.
I mean, we don't want to burn ourselves out now, Declan, because you could look at this heat.
Oh, absolutely,
for hours, and you could actually you could convince yourself of one thing and be completely wrong. Moving on to the second heat, we've spoken about Ballymac Art. I get what you're coming from. She's probably better drawn in the middle in terms of braking and whatnot, but with that extra little bit of experience in her card, if she does trap on level terms, it's very hard to see how she doesn't lead around that opening bend. If she does, she should qualify. Billy's Diva, very strong. She'll be finishing fast. Rowana Bess, she has it everywhere. There's no question. We've already suggested in these chats that she's capable of a close to 28 seconds if she does it right. Ballymac Juliet, she's going to need a similar start to last week because she has a tough draw. Nemesis would be a big price if bookmakers were around, but at the same time, she is running hard. She's running strong. And Right So Bell, well, this lady just is hitting peak form. She's well housed in 6, as you say, is the sole wide seed left in the competition. Ran a big race behind Price of Verona last week. To be only beaten 2.5 lengths after the start the Price of Verona got is a fair achievement. It's a cracking heat. It all comes down to what Ballymac Art probably does around the opening bend.
I think the best drawn is Right So Bell, and particularly as 4 and 5 probably won't come away fast. So she really should qualify, at least from where she is. Ballymac Art, as I say, I just haven't seen her run well from trap 1 yet, or from the inside generally. I think she's a middle to wide, actually. I wouldn't mind her out 5 or 6 either. She could be just as well housed in trap 1, but we have to see that. You know what I mean? But she's running so well. She's in such form. Billy Seaver won't break, so she will get a run up the fence. Anyway, Rowana Bess has gone, as we said earlier, from 223 to 203 in sections in successive weeks. So that's a bit. But Rowana Bess could lead here. You know what I mean? And if Rowana Bess leads Ballymac Art into the corner, then we have an interesting race on our hands. But I would think, allowing for what we're saying about Ballymac Juliet coming home, Billy Steve and those coming home, and allowing for that. But looking at it, you would see 136 as a 3 to qualify from there. I would think
that's your call for that heat, 136.
What's
the other heat, Declan? I want to get your 6 for final.
I think 1 and 3 definitely, and then it's down to either Ballymac Beanie or Swanley Chick. Now you can look at that 2 ways.
Call it.
Swanley Chick has the experience. I'd go for Ballymac Beanie. She's fresher. She's in form, and as you say, she probably will lead up. So I'd say the first one 134.
134. 134 and 136.
Yeah.
So we're in a situation where you think it'll be Druby's Curio, Price's Verona, Ballymac Beanie, Ballymac Art, Rowana Bess, and Right So Bell.
I think so.
I'll tell you what, that'll be a hell of an Oaks final.
I think whichever 6 get through, we're gonna have a great Oaks final.
I'll make my call. Druby's Curio and Ballymac Beanie. For third spot, I'll actually stick in Swanley Chick and just on the outside. I don't think she's not able to handle the wide draw. We saw her running from the middle in England a couple of nights, and she ran great. She did get balked at the corner last week. It's worth remembering that. Onto the second heat, I fancy Ballymac Art to win it. I think Rowana Bess will probably turn closest, and I think she'll qualify. Do you know what? With the 2 of them maybe going first and second, maybe Right So Bell might be susceptible to the likes of a Billy's Diva. So I'll go 1, 2, 3 in that second heat. So just a couple of differences there, just so we can have something to argue about next week.
Sure, who knows?
Now, before I let you go, Declan, we have to reference, it seems strange to get such attention about a bitch making her first race and not even winning, only finishing third. But Ballymac Ariel, you were at Shelbourne Park last Saturday night. I dare say she pulled the eyes out of your head.
She did, and like it was a very, very tough race for a first race to take on those. You know, I mean, she was taking on open class races. First time out, but she had done that brilliant trial the week before. Now, as we all know, solo trials and 6-dog races are very, very different things. So she ran brilliantly. Yeah, it'll be hard to live up to the hype. But
very hard. That's the problem. It's going to be very hard.
Well, look at Ruby's Curio track record first race. Look at, as you're saying, Billy Steva. I mean, they can do it. They can do it. And yeah, it's very, very exciting going forward. I'm sure the puppy competition coming up is the obvious place for her to go. I'm not sure, but yeah.
I think she may have frightened away a few because it's only down to 24 now. It won't be starting until next week. But
never be afraid of one. That's what they say.
I know. Yeah, I like the way that she did miss the kick, but she did actually show some early speed. It'd be no surprise to me if she popped out in front some night. And like genuinely, would it be surprised to you if she did a 27.70 next night if she popped out?
It was
she's 8 or 10 lengths behind last week. She's beaten 3 parts of a length at 28.
It would still be, if to do that in her second race would be some performance.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. No, look, if she wins next time in a very fast clock, which she will. I would think. No, she's very, very exciting. So far, so good. That's all you can say.
And here we are on an Oaks preview show, and we're talking about perhaps the favourite for next year's Oaks already.
Already, yeah. And I keep saying Droopy's Curio, who's in this Oaks, is among the favourites for next year's Derby. In my opinion, absolutely 550 would be just made for her. You know what I mean? And she can run from any box. And
it'd be interesting to see if she does get to run again next year. She is owned by the Dunphys. She's bred in the purple. She's very valuable as stock. I would imagine that she might just well be in pup before then, but we will see.
After the Derby as well,
Yeah, it's a cracking Oaks, Declan. You're looking forward to Saturday. You're looking forward to Saturday.
Yeah, it'll be great fun Saturday. Looking forward to it. Yeah, for sure.
And hopefully we'll see a few of these rocking up at the Winter Festival. It's a great addition.
It is fantastic, and it's going to be on TV in the UK as well, which we got huge reaction from the UK during the Derby. It really made quite a splash over there. So yeah, and it's going to be, I think, 13 races on the night. And serious racing the night before as well, so bring it on. But
strap yourself in, as they say.
We'll enjoy next Saturday first.
Thanks, Declan.
Okay.
Well, that's it for the Sporting Press Irish Oaks preview. That's it. We'll be talking about the final 6 next Thursday. It really is a tremendous Oaks. Looking forward to Saturday night. But that's it for this week on Talking Oaks.